The grand hall of the Galactic Council was filled with noise. Hundreds of alien species gathered, each with glowing robes, blinking translators, and sharp eyes. This was not an ordinary meeting. Something big was about to happen. A new species had been called to the table. Humans. Most council members were curious, some were amused, others didn't care. To them, Earth was just another young race trying to join the stars. They thought humans would beg, would kneel, would ask for protection like so many others had before. But something felt different. A sudden silence spread through the hall as the doors opened. The human representative walked in. Alone. No guards. No grand ships waiting outside. Just one man in a plain black suit. His eyes scanned the room calmly, without fear, without rush. The council members watched closely, waiting for him to speak. He stopped at Earth's seat, the one left empty for years, and stood without sitting. "I came," he said, voice steady. "Not to ask, not to explain, only to see." The room went still. "You already made your decision long ago," he continued, "and so have we." Before anyone could respond, before the translators finished, he turned and walked away. Some aliens laughed, some looked at each other in confusion. A few remained silent, their faces unreadable. But one ambassador, old and wise, did not laugh. He had seen something in the human's eyes, not anger, not pride. It was something deeper, something colder. The laughter slowly died. And somewhere, in the back of every council member's mind, a quiet question began to grow. Why didn't the humans stay, and what happens next? The days after Earth's silent exit were filled with debate and confusion. Across the great chambers of the council, arguments sparked like static in the air. Some claimed it was a misunderstanding. Others called it an insult. But no one truly understood what had just happened. Earth hadn't protested. They hadn't shouted or threatened. They simply walked away. At first, many took it lightly. A few younger council species joked about humans being dramatic. "They'll be back," one ambassador chuckled. "They always come back when they need something." But as the days turned to weeks, a strange silence followed. No messages came from Earth, no envoys, no ships. Their communication lines remained open, but no one answered. It wasn't just quiet. It was deliberate. Small things began to shift. A research satellite near a council border station reported a brief appearance of a human stealth ship. Watching, unmoving, then gone. A mining operation funded in part by Earth-backed companies suddenly shut down without reason. The humans didn't say anything. They didn't have to. One by one, their quiet absence began to change the balance. A senior diplomat from the R'lyeh species stood in the council chamber and said something that made the room fall silent. "We've been watching humans for their words, but maybe we should have been watching their silence." That silence, that calm turning away, began to feel heavier than any declaration. The council requested a formal meeting with Earth. No reply. They sent gentle envoys. No response. They asked Earth's closest allies. None of them had heard from the humans either. Something was shifting, quietly, but powerfully. The most advanced communication relays on the outer rim suddenly rerouted themselves. Entire data networks once maintained by Earth's engineers became unreachable. Council scientists couldn't explain it. "They didn't shut us out," one of them whispered. "They just disconnected." One ambassador, known for his deep knowledge of pre-contact human history, stood before the council and spoke carefully. In ancient times, humans didn't always fight when wronged. Sometimes they just walked away. And when they did, they took everything with them. The room grew cold. For the first time in decades, the council wasn't sure who held the balance of power anymore. They thought they had dismissed a species, but perhaps the humans had just dismissed them. It started with whispers, soft, uncertain, and easy to ignore. At first, only border stations reported them, then deep space traders. Then science posts, relay hubs, even distant colonial settlements. Unmarked vessels, they said. No transponders, no signals. Just there, and then gone. Most believed they were shadows, ghost readings from faulty equipment or the work of smugglers. But those who'd seen them with their own eyes knew better. Long, sleek silhouettes, quiet engines, always watching, never interfering, and always human. The council dismissed the early reports. Earth has left the table, they reminded themselves. They've made their choice. We should focus on species that wish to engage. But silence has a strange way of echoing louder over time. Within weeks, entire outer sectors began to notice changes. Human-made technologies, shared with the Council over the past decades, started shutting down without warning. Translation. Grids, medical platforms, even agricultural assistance bots stopped responding. Not broken, not damaged, just inactive, as if they'd simply gone to sleep. And still, no word from Earth. An ambassador from the Keyleth systems brought a troubling report. Her people had relied on Earth-based AI systems for education. One morning, the systems displayed a single line before vanishing forever. Connection closed. This chapter has ended. Panic hadn't set in yet, but unease had. The council called for emergency talks. Scientists were assigned to track human movements. Analysts were ordered to map every known trade route connected to Earth's former partners. What they found was chilling. The humans weren't gone. They were everywhere, quietly moving, watching, observing. Unseen ships hovered near council strongholds, but never crossed borders. Entire planets that once enjoyed Earth's influence now reported clean exits. Earth's people had left behind no trace, no tool, no ties, not even a goodbye. Some believed Earth was preparing something. Others believed they already had. One council member said, "It's like watching the sea pull back from the shore." "What do you mean?" asked another. She replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "When the sea pulls back, something bigger is always coming." A distant colony attempted to re-establish contact with Earth independently. Their message was short and respectful. A simple request for peaceful discussion. A single reply was received. It read, "We are not angry. We are not at war. We are simply not interested." And then, silence again. The council had faced many threats in the past. Fleets, invasions, rebellions. But this was something new. They were not being challenged. They were being left behind. A quiet fear had settled over the council, though no one dared to name it. It wasn't fear of weapons or armies. Earth had shown none. It wasn't fear of invasion. There had been no threats. It was the fear of not knowing. And worse, the fear that they had never known Earth at all. In a large circular chamber deep within the Central Archives, a team of researchers gathered. Historians, diplomats, intelligence officers, all assigned one mission: to study Earth's past, to search through every treaty, trade, and technological exchange, and to find the pattern they had missed. What they discovered shook even the most logical minds. Earth's technology had always seemed impressive, but now it seemed intentional. Every tool, every gift, every system Earth had offered to the Council had a hidden layer. Small unnoticed patterns in the code, strange timing and power signatures, mysterious firmware that self-updated without any known trigger. Nothing harmful, nothing dangerous, but everything designed to be removed instantly. One researcher said, quietly, "It's like they built an entire web, made us comfortable in it, and then vanished, pulling every thread at once." Even Earth's cultural presence had faded. Educational videos once shared across council-wide platforms were gone. Human music archives, once celebrated across the stars, no longer streamed. Their languages remained in translation networks, but somehow felt empty without native voices to fill them. The council requested a psychological profile. Who were humans, really? What did they want? The report returned only two key ideas: unpredictability and patience. For centuries, the Council had viewed humans as expressive and emotional. Passionate, yes, but easily readable. But that image now cracked. The humans they had known were polite, helpful, open-handed, but perhaps that was the mask. A senior archivist found an ancient quote from a pre-space human philosopher. Read it aloud in the chamber. We don't raise our voice, we improve our argument, and if that doesn't work, we walk away. The room fell into a long silence. If Earth had been building toward this moment for years, then every kindness, every gift, every peaceful word had a purpose. They hadn't withdrawn in protest. They had simply finished what they came to do. They didn't fight for a seat at the table. They just realized they didn't need it. A few council members still believed it was a bluff, a performance. They suggested Earth would return when they realized what they had lost. But others, those who paid attention, understood a harder truth. Earth hadn't lost anything. They had chosen something else. And now, for the first time in the Council's long history, it began to feel as though they were the ones left behind, not just in diplomacy but in understanding, in preparation, and in vision. The turning point came quietly. No alarms, no declarations, just a ripple. It started with a signal. A soft pulse detected in the deep layers of Council space near the Helan Drift. Not hostile, not coded, just unfamiliar. A patrol ship sent to investigate disappeared from scans mid-transmission. The last thing the crew reported was a distant shape, too smooth to be natural, too silent to be trusted. And still, Earth said nothing. By now, the Council had stopped pretending this was normal. Weekly meetings turned into daily briefings. Species that once bragged about progress now sat quietly, staring at unresponsive screens trying to guess Earth's next step. But there was no step. No message, no movement, only consequences. Entire regions of space once connected by Earth's trade routes became quiet voids. Markets that had grown strong with Earth's help were now uncertain. Transit beacons built with human engineering slowly flickered out. One by one, systems once supported by Earth's quiet presence felt the cold of space press in. And still, not a word from Earth. A transport hub at the edge of Council space, once co-managed by humans and Trivex engineers, went offline. No damage, no sabotage, just powered down. A Trivex overseer entered the empty station and found a small message engraved on the wall. "Thank you for the journey. We hope you continue forward." It wasn't anger, it wasn't pride, it was closure. Then came the most unsettling moment of all. A Council defense array, built for monitoring energy surges across major systems, detected a coordinated movement pattern across the galactic edge. Large signatures, efficient, fluid. But the ships never crossed any line, never entered any zone without permission, just observed, for seconds at a time, then vanished. A strategist from the Uran species finally broke the silence during a council session. "I think," he said slowly, "we're not being tested." The others looked up, confused. "We're being studied," he continued, "measured, watched." Another ambassador leaned forward, whispering a thought that no one wanted to say aloud. What if they're not preparing to return, but preparing to move on without us? The words settled like fog. A single vote was called to send a final diplomatic mission to Earth. One last attempt to speak, to reconnect, to explain. The mission never arrived. Their ship was found drifting, near a dead star, systems untouched, crew unharmed, just asleep as if paused by some unknown force. When they woke, they remembered nothing. Only a dream. Of a voice saying, "Rest. There is no need for fear, but there is nothing left to discuss." That day, the Council didn't argue. They didn't panic. They simply sat, eyes forward, and finally understood something they had refused to see from the beginning. Earth had never been waiting for approval. They had only been listening. And now, they had heard enough. In the heart of the Galactic Council's towering chamber, A silence lingered heavier than gravity itself. No debates, no interruptions, just the echo of a reality that had slowly, carefully unfolded before their eyes. Humanity hadn't disappeared. They had simply stepped beyond. For centuries, the Council had been the center of interstellar unity. Every species, no matter how distant or strange, had once dreamed of being welcomed into its fold. Earth had been no different, at least in the beginning. Their arrival had been met with celebration, curiosity, even admiration. But now, Earth's absence spoke louder than their presence ever had. It began to show in the smallest ways. Council maps were revised, not to remove Earth, but to stop pretending they belonged in the same conversation. Old alliances once strengthened by Earth's cooperation had become fragile. Projects that relied on human expertise quietly crumbled, or were replaced with less efficient systems. The strangest part? Earth hadn't closed its borders. There were no threats, no blockades. If someone wished to reach them, they could try. But what they'd find was distance. Not physical, but something harder to cross. A cultural stillness, a spiritual distance, as if Earth now breathed on a different rhythm. The last time anyone truly interacted with a human was when a curious envoy from the Alari species sent a single, respectful message. "Do you still watch us?" The reply came 2 weeks later, brief and clear. "We are always watching, but not to judge, only to remember." It wasn't rejection, it was farewell. Whispers began spreading through the stars, not rumors, but quiet acknowledgments. Stories of isolated planets that received anonymous help, strange construction patterns near dying stars, brief glimpses of silver ships hovering in ancient silence. Some believed Earth was building something. Others believed they had already built it far from any known chart. One council elder during a closed discussion said something no one challenged. Humanity isn't gone. They're simply done. No one responded, because deep inside everyone knew the truth. The humans had not walked away in anger, nor in protest. They had outgrown the conversation. They had offered friendship, wisdom, patience, and when it was ignored or misunderstood, they didn't retaliate. They just stepped aside. And now, as stars turned slowly in the dark sky, the council sat with a new understanding. Humanity had once waited for a seat at the table. Now, the table felt smaller without them. And somewhere, beyond the known, beyond the noise, Earth moved on, calm and steady, not with pride, but with purpose. And in their silence, the galaxy finally heard the loudest message of all.